And we are live. Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to Gem into Crypto, episode 1228. Today is Monday, June 3rd, 2024, and I'm King, here to bridge the gap between the community and crypto, most days, Monday through Friday at 10ish. Today's top stories: BlackRock's IBIT overtakes GBTC as the world's largest Bitcoin ETF. Australia gets first spot ETF that holds Bitcoin directly. Ethereum ETF June launched legit possibility as BlackRock files S1. Hackers exploit Chrome plugin to steal millions from Binance accounts. U.S. Navy launches paranoid blockchain security tech to private sector. And El Salvador's pro-Bitcoin president Nayib Bukele sworn in for second term. But first and foremost, of course, let's go ahead and take a quick look at today's prices on the day. And for the most part, not much change has happened in the last week or two. A lot of sideways movement, a lot of chop, which is a good thing. We're at a sideways movement officially at about 69, 70K. So I don't think any of us saw this day happening, or we saw it happening, but not really realize the living in it. So here we are today. Bitcoin's coming in at $69,816. That's right. Another normal day, and Bitcoin is at 70K, up 2.62%. Ethereum's at $3,825, up 0.86%. Number 4, BNB at $635, up 5.84%. Number 5, Solana at $165, up 0.32%. Number 9, Cardano at 45 cents, up 0.8%. And number 10, Toncoin at 6.72, up 3.48%. And your recently added tokens are Solana Classic, Trump MAGA, and BR Brian, whatever Brian is. And trending tokens are Notcoin, Panda Swap, and GameStop. Fear and Greed Index is at a 60. Bitcoin dominance at a 53.1, and Ethereum dominance at a 17.8%, trying to get up to that full 18%. And of course, what's going on, Warriors? Pardon me, I missed you last week. It was a holiday, but between the holiday and that sickness of mine ended up lasting a full 7 to 10 days. So I had to tap out last week. I did not have the oxygen to keep my life going. So I just tapped out last week, came back this week strong again. So here we are, no worries. What's going on? BK Crypto, Lord Smith, Philip Shaw, 11 Super Mario, Memories of Mike, Miriam, Les Square, Hyben. What's going on? Crypto Blood. I love cryptos in the house. Junior Maley, Alex. Let's see. The Coochie Gang is in there. There we go. Crypto Blood. Alex Kritos. Hyman, JB, good morning, morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Let's go ahead and get straight into it. Let's see, top story of the day. We're still talking ETFs. Just as exciting as the news got, it looks like it's slowed down just a little bit until we figure out what's going to happen with these Ethereum ETFs. But something that we said was going to happen has officially happened. It's happening slowly and fast at the same time. And that's the BlackRock and the Fidelities of the world getting rid of all their competitors and stifling entry, adding barriers to entry to ensure there are no competitors to their ETFs. That's right. BlackRock's IBIT officially overtakes GBTC as the world's largest Bitcoin ETF. I told you this was going to happen. This is a part of the game plan, which is why these other ETFs that launched simultaneously, it wasn't fair to begin with. It was like a lot of them asked beforehand, you're going to launch them at the same time as like a BlackRock, which is the biggest, baddest guy on the block. What do you think is going to happen to everyone else, including what was at the time the largest Bitcoin type of fund out there looking at Grayscale? But BlackRock's $20 billion spot Bitcoin ETF recorded inflows of over $102 million on May 28th, while Grayscale's ETF bled again. That's right. It looks like BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF has reportedly surpassed Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, a GBTC, as the world's largest exchange-traded fund tracking the price of Bitcoin. At the end of trading on May 28th, BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, known as IBIT, recorded $102.5 million in inflows, while GBTC registered a $105 million outflow. That is right. It's happened officially. They flipped GBTC. Is something that, of course, we saw happening. Not only will Grayscale do, or excuse me, BlackRock do it, but I expect to see Fidelity do it as well. In Grayscale, again, if they're smart, I would just sell. I would sell everything. I would sell assets. I would sell the name. I would sell everything. Just get out the race. You're going against people who literally have the government in their pocket, which we saw Grayscale does not, or they will have passed their ETF like years before BlackRock was even thought of having one. So this inflow is reported to have brought BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF to a total of 288,670 Bitcoin held, compared to Grayscale, which now holds 287,450 Bitcoin, despite beginning at 620,000 Bitcoin at the time of its conversion in January, according to the data from HODL 15 Capital and the Apollo Bitcoin tracker. So again, this isn't like crazy news. It's something we already knew was going to happen. It's just the fact that it's actually happening. Again, what's next? I see Fidelity overtaking GBTC. And then eventually I seeing a combination of BlackRock and Fidelity creating rules, laws, regulations, so on and so forth. Maybe not them directly, but suddenly these rules and laws will appear that's going to make any type of competitive nature illegal. Any type of new Bitcoin ETF on the market, they're going to add so many new barriers of entry, so many new licensing applications and things you must do from their lessons learned that BlackRock and others did not have to do. So you better believe this is it. This is the central banking of ETFs here in America. We're going to have BlackRock. We're going to have Fidelity. The Bank of America, Chase wants to bite. We'll let them in, right? Wells Fargo. But other than that, they're not going to really open up the door. And then for those who decided to come in at the same time with BlackRock and Fidelity, the likes of the GBTCs, which were just as large at the start of it in terms of Bitcoin, will be dwarfed. I think it's already happening. 3 months into it, literally, we got a quarter up under us. Two quarters up under us, almost 5 to 6 months up under us, and already they've been capitulated by a competitor. So I don't see that changing. I see BlackRock, Fidelity getting the lion's share of the market here in the United States, as well as abroad, once it's all said and done. And with that being said, let's go ahead and go abroad. All right. Australia said we want in as well. Australia gets their first spot ETF that holds Bitcoin directly. They're set to join Hong Kong, Canada, and the US in offering investors an ETF that invests in and directly holds Bitcoin. And again, this goes back to my sort of question and thoughts of what I think is going to happen. And that's these Bitcoin ETFs will not be back one-to-one from Bitcoin. It's one thing to say we can do it in America, but as it starts to diversify, as it starts to dilute itself and we get more ETFs from different countries, everyone won't play by the same rules, especially when these different markets are going to be competing with America directly in the form of a Bitcoin ETF, right? So I can see this happening in some whatever developing country, a second world country, or whatever, where they're like, hey, we don't have the BlackRock and we don't have everything set up so we can do our Bitcoin ETFs this way. So we're just going to hustle and scam like we do everything else in banking and all other banking products. We're going to keep hustling and scamming, and we're going to get as much cash rich as we can. And we're going to tell people we have that Bitcoin to back it when we don't. I think we'll start seeing that here as the ETFs start to proliferate and more countries start to adopt them. There will be a country, there will be a bank, there will be a situation somewhere where someone says, you know what, we're not going to back this thing one by one. And all it takes is for one to do it before the veil gets uncovered. And they're like, well, is there more than one company doing it? Who's all doing it? What's going on? And then that's where the volatility occurs and it gets crazy again. And for a government, right, for the Americas of the world, for the bigger grade A governments who have the banking sector unlocking everything, this is good news because all it does is confuses investors more. It calls for more regulations, more tax spending, more of everything else, more derivatives to make you even further confused in the market, and they can get away with making more money at the end. So shout out to Australia. I'm glad to see that they got it. But again, this begs the question. All right, so Australia has an ETF, Hong Kong has an ETF, America has an ETF, Canada has a Bitcoin ETF. Whose Bitcoin ETF rules are right? And how would they be, I guess, instituted? Like, again, America's saying one-to-one Bitcoin. Is every country going to say this? And if so, how long? I highly doubt that's going to happen. It makes no sense. Why would you do it? Why would you do it when, again, you can just keep the capital and maybe keep the crypto you want or not, whatever works for your solutions, and go about your business? Nothing can happen but a bunch of people screaming at the same people who are actually instituting the rules and laws. So only thing, the worst case scenario is a bunch of taxpayers in all these countries get mad at the BlackRocks of the world. We get mad at the Fidelities and whoever else of the world. And we say, wait, they don't have the amount of Bitcoin they said they have, or the price is wrong, or the paper derivative ETF is wrong. We want to sue. We're angry. We're mad. And so what? A BlackRock says, fine. In 10 or 15 years, we'll settle with you all after we've gotten our money up front. I think this is going to end badly. But hey, let this show begin. Jake, what's going on? Said, no, it is not. My mailing address actually changed, Jake. So I'll make sure I'll get that new one over to you. Did I see Berkshire A shares lose 99.97% and halted all trading? I tried to buy the share if I can see if I can come up 600K. I didn't see that, but I got to check that out with Berkshire. They actually own some buildings out here that's doing a terrible job as well. Let's see. It takes 15 seconds for the chat to pop up. Is this part of the shadow ban? It probably is. Who knows? I told you I got to do a whole new channel. I already know it. This one was too early, but quite possibly. When is MJ and Kendrick dropping their albums? Okay, schedule me for the same day. Said no one ever. Hyben said, I own iBit just as a trade. Do not come at me, bro. Calm down. Listen, no, I'm with you. Look, as far as diversification goes, whatever. If it works for your portfolio, then do it. And again, I get it on the traditional sector. It makes sense as a banking product. It makes sense as a making fiat. You know what I'm saying? It's just I'm just coming out saying this isn't the future of anything, and this could actually destroy the market as we know it when it comes to Bitcoin. Not necessarily to destroy, but definitely manipulate it. Because once they stop going 1-to-1 on an ETF to the asset Bitcoin or whatever crypto we'll be using, as soon as that stops, the manipulation begins. You can now say, hey, we know Bitcoin's supposed to be 150,000 if we were to back it 1-to-1, but we stopped backing it 1-to-1 at 95,000. That thing, no, this thing will never see 150,000 as long as we have anything to say and do with it. So I could say, again, think about the entire planet, all the mainstream sources of capital flowing into Bitcoin. If they all decide to go toward an ETF and they can trick people off the asset of Bitcoin, and they stop going 1-to-1, you can effectively manipulate the price. Even if that manipulation is in the $100,000 to $300,000 range, it's better than it being a $3 million Bitcoin, a $10 million Bitcoin, whatever can stop that from happening, they're happy with. So if they can put the plug in this thing at $350K, $400,000 of Bitcoin, fine. It's better than $10 million Bitcoin. If you don't believe me, like look at the traditional gold sector. People still talk about gold is up, whatever. And I'm like looking, I'm like, wait, you guys are talking about a $50 like spread half the time, $100 spread, gold being 2,400 today, 2,500 the next day, whatever, 1,800, whatever. Let's go crazy. Let's say a $600 spread. Oh, you're going a big 20%. My point is, gold has effectively been manipulated. We all know that precious metals have effectively been manipulated. The price is going to be what the market and the government, for the most part, wants that price to be. So I think they can do the same thing with crypto, with Bitcoin. I think we're on our way to doing it as well with these ETFs. You're effectively taking away the supply and demand, the natural supply and demand of what Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies could and should be, and instead adding a new metric, adding a new variable by saying, well, technically, since we have this new product that's not even real, that takes away from the real asset, now we can effectively decide what that supply and demand is going to be, especially when we say, hey, it's back 1-to-1, it's back 1 to 100,000, or it's back 100,000 to 1, right? When you can start flipping that around, which they effectively can already, wait until they get enough people in it, and they really start switching it around, I think we'll start to see the price getting manipulated at that point. Brandon Mays, Better Days, said, I'm literally going all in on Bitcoin mining companies and iBit because Coinbase is Gemini, because Coinbase and Gemini, I'm assuming, thinks they're going to keep me out of this run. I'm in New York. They're doing this dirty. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, again, if you're in New York, you know, you're a person with a family, good job, and you're like, I can't play these DJing activities, a little bit too risky, dangerous for me. I don't think so, especially with as broad as the market is. But hey, let's just say you feel like that. I definitely understand and can agree. Hey, exposure could be seen from a Bitcoin ETF. It could be seen from iBit. You know, it could be seen from a mining company stock. I understand and agree there are other ways. But again, to me, this is also the government effectively scaring you out of the market. This is them saying like, you're a nigga lover, you're gonna get in just as much trouble. Okay, I gotta use that. But it's the same thing. It's like, oh, if you cool with them over there and we don't like them, and we're like, you're a part of that group, we don't like you either, right? It's the same thing. It's like they're scaring you off when in reality you're not doing anything wrong. Like, again, Bitcoin was a software. It's software. It's literally zeros and ones on a computer. Somebody wrote up code as you would Google or any other. Imagine they said Google is illegal. You all are learning too much too fast. You can't use Google to search for things. I mean, they're essentially doing that with TikTok. Like, you're learning, you're seeing too much too fast. We're going to make this illegal. That is what's happening with Bitcoin and other cryptos. But now, since they've figured out a way to kind of control it, now they're saying, well, okay, well, you can participate in this market, but not directly. You can't directly talk to Bitcoin. We'll do all the talking for you, but you can buy the ETF. You can buy the mining stock. You can do all these things on the traditional side, but you can't do it with the underlying asset. That's crazy to me. Like, that is insane. I'm not going to go on the rant. But yeah, they're trying to essentially just trick you out of it. They're trying to make you feel like you're doing something bad and you're doing something wrong when in reality you're not. All right. So I don't know. Again, I understand if you have the family, good job, everything, but it's also one of those things that's like, hey, all right, like, slippery slope. The day you get whatever back from the stock or whether it's the mining stock or the IBIT or whatever, and they say, hey, we decided to go 80% tax on it. It's too late to fight then. It's too late to throw your arms up and say this isn't fair and blah, 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 because it's not fair to begin with right now. So it's not fair to begin with right now. Like, you can't be upset later when they say, yeah, we know you're supposed to. We know the company made a lot of money, but we decided not to pay you as much. And most people are still going to be happy. Like, well, it's 10% more than what I had at first. And it's like, yeah, but you risk like 80% of your portfolio for that 10%. That's not right. But if you allow it to happen, it is going to happen. All right, what else do we have going on? Ethereum ETFs. It's a little commentary on that. I want to take a peek at Ethereum ETF. June launch, legit possibility as BlackRock files S1. That's right. BlackRock updated its Form S1 for a spot Ether ETF, which analysts say is a good sign that issuers and the SEC are working on ETF launches. I would agree. Listen, Bitcoin ETFs were talked about, discussed, people applied for them, wanted them for roughly about 8 years. I would say almost 7 to 8 years before we actually got one. There were companies trying to get one. The moment BlackRock popped up on the scene, Bitcoin ETFs came, I think, 6 months later. Like, BlackRock came in, Gary Gensler's job was threatened. The government was like, hey, how can we make these people happy? And next thing you know, a Bitcoin ETF came within like 6 months. So the fact that BlackRock is now like, hey, we're looking at our new S1 filing, we're redoing some things. I mean, if that's not the writing on the wall, I don't know what is. It literally is the writing on the wall. BlackRock doing anything with an ETF is the writing on the wall. So BlackRock has signaled to everyone that, hey, this thing is coming, it's happening. We just had to redo some things to make the government happy since we pimped them on the ETF. They're kind of upset about that. We got to make them look good. But it looks like on May 29, BlackRock updated its Form S1 for its iShares Ethereum Trust, ETHA, with the Securities and Exchange Commission nearly a week after the regulator approved its 19B for filing. Both need approval for the ETF to actually start trading, which we discussed. They're saying this is a good sign. We'll probably see the rest roll in soon. Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchuna said in the 29th X post. There will likely be another round to fine-tune SEC comments, he added. I agree with that. But an end of June launch is a legit possibility. However, Balchunas kept his approval odds for around July 4th, adding that an earlier approval would be a long shot. This is actually great news. They're looking at, right now is June 3rd. We're looking at July 4th, so 4 weeks. And they're saying that an earlier approval will be a long shot. That's good to begin with. I mean, 2 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, it's kind of what we saw. We said, I think a week or so, I said about maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Makes sense. They applied everything at first. They filed everything. The SEC said, no, you need to redo it. Sounds like they just redid everything. We sent it back. SEC is going to look at it one more time. You need to redo this once or twice more, a couple more times, maybe once or twice at most. They'll do the same thing. They'll resend it back, fix up a couple more last things, 1 or 2 words, send it back for the final approval, and hopefully we'll see it in like a month or whatever. So that is a good sign. I would say when you're looking at BlackRock, trillions of dollars of assets under management, they're not going to waste their time filing this, putting this out there, and then having people run a news story on it without pushing back against it, saying, no, that's not what's happening. We're just blah, blah, blah. Like, this is business as usual right now. The same we saw with the Bitcoin ETF. So Again, let's say worst case scenario, it isn't even passed until the end of summer, August or September. Let's say we have to wait another couple months. At worst, I think this thing is still going to happen. All the writing on the wall shows this thing is going to happen. And again, this isn't even the most exciting news. This is the next step, because after this happens, they're going to ride out this Ethereum ETF for 2 or 3 months max, maybe 4 or 5. If they get really crazy, they'll go to the end of the year. I don't think so. I think they'll ride out for a couple months, and then they'll be ready to introduce the next ETF. I think they might actually want to get the next ETF in before the presidential election, because if you can get it in before the presidential election, president is already set that, hey, there will be a variety of crypto ETFs. This thing has already happened, is not happening. Whereas if they wait, then they're kind of waiting on the balance of, will we get the same president who's ETF friendly? Will we get a different president who's not with, I don't know, right? Whereas right now we have the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum one is down the pike. If I were these companies, I'd be, what's the next one? Get the next one ready. We let the Ethereum run 2 or 3 months, and then we get the next one ready. All right. That's my thoughts. So I think we might even see 3 before the end of the year, but I think we're definitely going to see that Ethereum one here, hopefully before the end of the summer. Let's see. Satoshi Slim said, that's low key blatant. We're going to fine print it and give it to you during one of the biggest holidays of the country, when you'll be super preoccupied. You already know it. Independence Day, you get your ETFs, they become independent for the first time. Let's see. iBit got great IRAs for sure. I remember some people were talking about them before. I think they actually reached out to us a while ago about them. Let's see. The general population would think owning an ETF is owning the asset, and when the party is over, people are going to be mad. But that's the thing. The party may never end, or if it does end, it'll be temporary, and that will be in the form of a depression, recession type of event, like we saw in 2008 with the housing crisis. We'll see something like that. That will be the bubble, right? The ETF bubble will pop. You'll blame it on Bitcoin and crypto, but the reality is, if you just look, it's like, nah, man, ain't nobody tell y'all to print 3 million Bitcoin. Nobody told you. That's not Bitcoin's fault. But yes, they will blame it on Bitcoin when it actually happens. Yes, Uncle Reno said, gotta love a veto at 5 p.m. on Friday. Gotta watch the government sites. He's talking about that SAB 121 veto that happened last week. Yes, exactly. Berkshire Hathaway stock down 99%. Crypto is too volatile. Listen, y'all about to have me look at this. Not the regular Berkshire Hathaway, is it? This can't be the regular Berkshire Hathaway stock down. Only way that stock going down that much in a day is if, oh boy, takes that dip. And I'm not saying I want him to or nothing like that. That's messed up. I'm not saying I want him to, but he is getting up there. And I'm sure if he were to pass away, then that stock would definitely dip. But other than that, what's going on? Okay, I'm seeing 0.97. I'm looking at, I might be looking at the wrong one. Y'all said the Series A one. I got to look at that one. What else we have going on? Hackers are in the news as always, right? Do they ever leave the news? Hackers exploit Chrome plugin to steal millions from Binance accounts. The promotional plugin steals cookies from users, which hackers use to bypass password and two-factor authentication verification and log into the victim's Binance account. Now, as usual, I read the headlines. I didn't get into this story, and I don't think it's necessary to get in this story. The headlines enough, and that's what I just really wanted to quickly cover. The plugins, the APIs, any API, right? Anything that connects your crypto wallets or exchanges from a third party, basically. Any third party that connects your wallet to your exchange to your internet browser, I wouldn't trust it. It's just too new. I understand at this point, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in these markets, they are maturing, but a lot of these projects and platforms and software is still in beta. I wouldn't consider Bitcoin in beta anymore, but a lot of the wallets and things around it are still in beta off this. Even though they have time in now, some of them been around 3 to 4 to 5 years, people still don't know about it, right? They still haven't been stress tested. They haven't been even tried to hack before. And then some of the plugins specific, when you talk about the Chrome plugins, the Brave plugins, those are definitely beta, people. They are so beta. They are brand new. They're still experimenting with them. And here's the thing. I will say they will almost always be in beta form. And the reason why is because the browsers themselves are always updating. And when they update, there is no way these crypto projects and companies are spending the amount of resources it takes to actually secure their APIs, their third-party plugins with the browser update. So what do I mean? So you're talking about with this story, there's a Chrome plugin that essentially messed up. Well, Chrome didn't mess it up, right? You literally have a team of Google engineers, cybersecurity professionals working on this browser. They're not messing it up. They're making sure this thing is at the highest levels of cybersecurity. And then you have a project, or in this case, a company, a crypto company, Binance, saying, "Hey, we have a plugin to go along with this browser." Your cybersecurity team is not doing the same type of work the actual browser cybersecurity team is doing to make sure that whole browser is secure. So the moment that browser updates and say we're on version 15, now we're going to version 15.1, Binance's team isn't doing all the necessary back end work to say, okay, what makes version 15 to 15.1 so much secure? And what do we need to do to our plugin to add that layer of cybersecurity? That is so much work and resources, people. They're not doing that. There's no way they're doing that at all. And another reason why they're not doing that is because it doesn't pay them anything to do it. So what, you get a secure portal or API, like that doesn't mean your volume is going to increase. You're going to spend more money with Binance or anything like that. It just doesn't make sense as a business to put the time and resources into this. It makes sense to do another basic update and say, yeah, our plugin works with 15.1. It works because it works. It doesn't work because it's secure. It just works because we made it work. So whenever I see any plugins that are connecting wallets in these exchanges, I don't trust any of them, because it's like they're not doing the work it takes to actually make it secure. It doesn't make sense. Now, if Chrome were to actually push out the plugin and they're saying, hey, this is a Google Chrome created plugin for Binance, then it will make sense. And they're not doing that anytime soon until it actually makes sense as far as getting new user volume. I can see Google doing that with a Coinbase, right? Coinbase in America is one of the most used exchanges. They get more beginners than anyone, blah, blah, blah. So I can see Google doing a partnership with Coinbase and saying, no, this is a Google Chrome plugin that we created that you can work it with Coinbase in order to bring more people over. But from the opposite way, from a Binance or a Coinbase or whatever plugin, and saying, hey, we're doing this for you to use with Google and like, no, it's not going to be secure. It's not going to be super secure. And this is what you see happen. We've seen this happen in the past. And this is for me not even looking at this story. I don't know. Let me scroll through this story and see how spot on I am. I don't know. A Chinese trader lost $1 million to a hacking scam using a promotional Google Chrome. Yeah, come on. You use a promotional plugin? you went on somebody's website or YouTube and it said here's your Binance plugin. You clicked on it. Yeah, I mean, so like I said, it doesn't matter if it's not coming from to me. If it's not coming from the browser, I would be very careful. Not again. Some of these who built their whole their identity off it, MetaMask, right? MetaMask allows plugins. That's a little bit different because they're building their whole identity off that plugin, where they're saying, hey, we're a wallet that we're a plugin wallet. We want you to have it. That is a little bit different. Again, they will use more time and resources toward that, because if that were to fail, that's their actual wallet failing. And that would mess up their business. But to have an entirely different business, i.e. a exchange, and then it's like, hey, there's this third-party API you can click on and blah, blah, blah. Like, stop trying to take shortcuts, people. It should take you 5 to 10 minutes to get to some of these portfolios you have. If you got a portfolio in it with let's say what you consider more than 25 to 30% of your net worth, or about that 30% of your net worth, I would say it's important to have some layers to entry to that. It should take you about 5 minutes or a few minutes even for you to get to it. You don't want to make it so easy so that you just have a plugin that's in the corner of your browser. You click it and boom, you have access to half your net worth. Like, you don't want it that easy. Trust me, you do not want it that easy, because a hacker, a scammer, or whoever else will also have it just as easy as you. You want to make it so that it's going to take you a few minutes. I got to do this. Oh, hold on. I got to do my two-factor on my phone. Wait, where's the paper? I can't get my paper out here. Like, you want to make it that much, because the person who's going to try to scam you or hack you, as they go through those layers as well, they're going to be like, all right, I can find somebody else. Okay. They can find somebody else for that. Or they don't want to go that crazy on you. Let's see what else we have going on. Yes, getting into Bitcoin, you should feel like the world's greatest hacker by the time you learned everything, for sure. Hey, shout out. I love that name. Akibalon, the third party company for Swan Bitcoin, put my info on the dark web. And a few more companies did this. And I think it's part of the game. It's a vicious cycle or circle. These companies are working together. I wouldn't doubt it. And even if it wasn't like them being all in on it, people, your data is worth so much money. It's worth so much money. And we still haven't gotten to the point where we control it and we're charging people for it. You get in a car accident, you go home a week later, you getting mail from medical therapeutic things from lawyers, and it's like, wait, how did I get in a car accident and all of a sudden I'm getting mail from lawyers, I'm getting mail from therapy centers and doctors' offices? That is sharing your personal information. All of that should have a layer to it, to where you decide yes or no. Hey, that's fair. Share my information with law firms, share with doctors' offices, but I want to get paid every time it's getting shared. We have the technology to do this, but no one's really pushing for it because the resources it takes to build, you already need to either have them or kind of like ICO and fundraise from them. But B, your competitors, the hospitals, the law firms, all the people with money already, the last thing they want to see is a product go to market where it's like, oh, I can control all my personal information. No one wants to see that. Shout out to South Park. I was just watching the South Park episode about obesity, and it was talking, essentially it was making fun of how all the sugar and cereal companies are working together to push that obesity is healthy and okay for you, so that you can spend more money on buying sugar type of things, right? So it's the same thing here, whereas it's like none of these companies actually want to see you have this type of freedom and privilege over your private information that you can sell yourself, because then they will have to pay for it. It will cost them billions of dollars if every person had control of their private information. So no one wants to see that. Cartman Slim, you know what I'm talking about. Don't connect your wallet or sign messages unless it's absolutely necessary. I agree. There's so many DeFi platforms that as soon as you actually get on the DeFi platform, if it can identify a wallet in any type of API, it'll try to connect it automatically. I'm always like, no, I'm not even trying to do a transaction yet. I'm literally just looking at the website. I don't need my wallet connected for that. So you have to be careful in this space when it comes to that. Yes, always check your wallet permissions the same as you would your banking permissions and things like that, your calendar permissions, all those things. All right, U.S. Navy is in the news. Shout out to Navy. Who y'all Navy? Fleet Week everywhere. I've been seeing these sailors cut a full. All right, y'all better watch it. Be careful out there, Be careful out there. These fleet weeks. This is how children keep popping up everywhere from the U.S. Navy. But no, U.S. Navy launches paranoid blockchain security tech. I'm dropping stuff. U.S. Navy launches paranoid blockchain security tech to private sector. That's right. The government seeks a collaboration to research and develop the technology further. I was like, well, what's going on, U.S. Navy? What are we doing here? The U.S. Navy is seeking private sector partners for a cooperative research and development agreement, CRADA, C-R-A-D-A, to help advance its proprietary paranoid blockchain technology. What a name, what a name, what a name. Paranoid, which stands for Powerful Authentication Regime Applicable to Naval Operational Flight Program Integrated Development. That's right. And we're in the military. We have to have acronyms. If you know, you know. Is a blockchain-based system for securing software against cyber attacks during development and deployment. So initially, I thought this was going to be like a supply chain type of deal because we definitely need that. It was pretty interesting to see that a blockchain-based system is being created again to defend against cyber attacks and development and deployment. Now, makes sense. We already have essentially we already have groups in the Navy. We already have ratings essentially that does cybersecurity, whatever. It's like a new warfare as of, I believe, well, not new. 2012 was new. So it's about 10 years old. It's about 10, 12 years old. I forgot this. If you're in this, the comments, let me know the new rating. They got a warfare pin and everything. But essentially our hackers in the Navy get pins now as of 10 years ago. So it makes sense that we're developing software and all this other stuff. Interesting that they're specifically naming it blockchain technology. I'm wondering if we're actually going to create a real blockchain within the Navy where we have different nodes. Again, it doesn't have to be open source or decentralized to the point that every American has it. But yeah, if you could, if I don't know, if you got 50 to 100 nodes spread throughout the U.S., Pentagon here and there, different naval personnel, I could see a blockchain working. to secure software or whatever. I mean, as many spies are popping up, we're only as good as our own humans, but I can see this being a thing in the short run. So again, this is Paranoid. This is paper came out May 2024. The Naval Air Warfare Center's Aircraft Division, NACAD. Again, we love acronyms in the military, which is why it's like another language. At Lakehurst, New Jersey, invented and developed Paranoid to secure avionics software for the U.S. Navy, but soon thereafter realized its applicability to any software development endeavor wherein security is a factor. Paranoid protects software throughout the development process by verifying files across nodes. Okay, again, I didn't read this story. Across nodes at every step via blockchain. Every action a developer takes is registered is an entry on the Paranoid blockchain, thus providing a ledger of activity. So again, I am with this, but we're only as strong as the humans. The training that's going to have to go into this as far as people understanding what's happening. There's two sides to this. One side of me is like, I kind of get it if it's done right and it works. The other side of me is like, I know the Navy. I know the Navy. Okay. And I know what this is too in the way it's written. What this is called is a I'm trying to what's the right possible word, the words. I want to smack my Navy too hard. This is what you do when you're trying to write for an increase in budget. Okay, this has budget written all over it. For all my military people know what I'm talking about. This has budget written all over it because here's the deal. Something like this, especially if this is being done by Navy personnel, this means this is a collateral. This is not even your primary job. So whatever your real job is, you're doing that real job 9 to 5. You got your own personal life, your family life. You got to work out and stay in shape. And then at the end of the day or the middle of the day, you're also saying, hey, I can do this Paranoid blockchain for the Navy. I guarantee you this is an extra job. And the only time Navy personnel do extra jobs is when there's budgets and things like this attached to it. Somebody about to get an award when they get done, and the whole department about to get more money. Oh, we about to get all the bells and whistles in this department. Everybody getting new computers, all right? Hell, you get an iPad to take home now, all right? So this definitely has budget written all over it, and I love it. I'm not mad at it. As long as it can actually work, and we're not just trying to fleece the government, right? They're saying if bad actors were to try and hijack or hack software during development by editing, replacing, or deleting code or files, such changes will fail verification against the Paranoid system's immutable database on the blockchain. Blah, 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 blah. Now, to me, it's not really worth going too much into it, too much more into it, because this is still like a novel idea. You have to test it. You have to get it right, blah, blah, blah. It has to actually work. But again, a couple more things that go along with it. For one, it's not like the U.S., like the Navy, the military is getting hacked like that to begin with, right? Let's be clear about something. I scream gang all the time. If you or a group of people are hacking the United States Navy, like, oh man, I would almost say there are people in the military that want you to do it. They almost want to leave the front door open just so you can walk in. They can have a reason to be like, hey, act of war, whatever you want to call it, treason, act of war. Who are you? Depending on what side of the fence you are, there's punishments and consequences, and people can't wait to enact them. So let's be clear. Like, if anyone who's trying to hack the United States Navy, they're already at a place with us where it's like, oh, this is only going to end one way. And that one way has a missile of freedom attached to it, right? So my thing is, again, this is a budget thing. Like, ain't nobody hacking the Navy like that. But all right, let's just say these hacks are mysteriously starting to happen and people are trying. I'm not saying people aren't trying. Again, if this could work, blockchain technology as a whole does work, but the education you will have to give to the entire Navy, as well as other partners and people of the Department of Defense, as well as who's going to run it. Will this be an internal Navy ran thing with our own officers? Is this going to be ran by third-party contractors, which again is a whole nother can of worms? Who's going to have access to the nodes? Will it only be Department of Defense or Navy personnel? Will it be third-party contractors? Because if a third party has access to these nodes, it doesn't matter if you have a blockchain, right? If 50% of the nodes could be accessed by just regular civilians or whatever. So a lot goes into this. Like, a lot goes into it, which is why I say I can guarantee this isn't their primary job. Their job wasn't their orders weren't, hey, you're going to be getting the paranoid system up and running. Like, I highly doubt that. It's probably a collateral that's going on here. But hey, if it works, it works. I hope it works. But we do know blockchain technology does work, especially when you do decentralize these nodes and you keep the information on more than one computer. This type of stuff can work. So I hope it does work for our Navy, make us stronger. But again, if somebody's already trying to hack us and mess with us, look, cybersecurity ain't gonna do the trick. That's not the trick we're looking for. We're looking to pull up with a carrier, talking deep blue Navy, big sea Navy, if you know who I'm talking about. And we're looking to start using these toys that taxpayers have paid for. Okay, we got about 50 to 100 million dollars of ordnance sitting on these ships. We want to use them. The Navy is gonna be like, oh, okay, so the hack is coming from these coordinates. I wonder what do we do next? Like, excuse me, I told you that sickness is real last week, people. I'm still getting out of my system. All right, what else do we have? Last but not least, got to give a shout out to El Salvador. Shout out to El Salvador's pro-Bitcoin president Nayib Bukele is sworn in for a second term. That is right. He's began a new 5-year term with the crypto industry applauding his leadership as he positions his country as a world leader. Shout out to President Nayib Bukele again for his second term. This is very important, primarily because this is the first country who has gone all Bitcoin, everything. We like it. We support it. We want the world to know. Again, I've talked to people from El Salvador whose parents are still there, first generation, all that. They say they love the president. They're cool with Bitcoin. They're learning about it. It's crazy actually to talk to younger and older people from El Salvador and to learn about it. I've talked to people who've been to Bitcoin Beach, who have went to El Salvador to see what's happening. They're coming back with stories like, yo, this is real. They like it. It's slowly happening. It's slow, but it's happening. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen these next 5 years. There's one thing to go into it where it's like you're already in the middle of your presidency and things are happening, but to start fresh already, to have the country on your back, to have one problem already situated, you're talking about the criminals and everything, and now you can really focus on the economy this next 5 years. Woo! He could go wide and far with when it comes to Bitcoin and the possibilities. So I can't wait to see. Who knows what's going to be enacted there? What type of payment processors make Bitcoin easy? Like, El Salvador could be responsible for changing the entire market and trajectory. What if they come up with something where it's like, hey, El Salvador has made taking the bus with Bitcoin easy. El Salvador has made taking this or doing this with crypto super easy because everyone uses it now. If that were to come out of that country, this country, and the world adopts it, that could be another use case for Bitcoin that can make it go parabolic. Like literally overnight, you can say, no. The same way we do Apple Pay, which you can by now do it with crypto, but people don't understand. If they can make this, create the mechanisms, the point of sale systems and everything to say, hey, you double click on your phone and you tap that thing to the reader and your crypto of your choice gets deducted. Woo wee, people, this market is going up 15% overnight, 15, 20% overnight. It will pump. So shout out to El Salvador. Shout out to Nayib Bukele or Bukele. I always say his name wrong, for his second term. Hope to see something great happens there, and don't let the IMF fool you. Don't listen to them. Don't let them in. All right. They're going to give you that they're going to give you that Nigerian deal where they're going to tell you to come check out the IMF in their country. They're going to say, yeah, Nayib, come meet with the IMF at the next Super Bowl in America. No. We're not doing no planes, no helicopters. Listen, if I'm President Bukele, I'm doing live streaming 24/7. The camera is never off of me. There will now be no mistakes, no accidents. When I go in the shower, I'm wearing swimming trunks. Y'all keep the camera rolling, all right? Other than that, that is the show for today. What else do we have going on? Last few comments. Yes, make sure you smash that like and share. Satoshi said they're going to put you in that helicopter. I already know. See, that's what I was saying. Are we still convinced in 2024 that Bitcoin will be a future global currency, or is gang going to gang? I mean, as of now, it still can't be stopped, right? Like, it can't be stopped. But the only reason I say the gang might gang is because the narrative. The narratives, people, the narrative. I am sure in America, the way America is right now, I am sure there is someone to argue that soda or pop is better than water, right? Like, I know there's someone who could argue this and be serious and argue to the death and say, no, carbohydrated drinks are better than water. you're wrong, and here's why, and here's my evidence. And they would be like, I'm telling you, people, okay? Like, we don't know right from left. That's all I'm gonna say. We don't know right from left anymore in America. So I'm pretty sure there is someone who can convince you that carbohydrate drinks are better than water. I say that to say, I'm convinced, and I think there are going to be always diehard people convinced that Bitcoin is a future global currency. It's not even a future; it is a global currency. Why? Because I can do business with anyone on this planet right now and pay them immediately, and vice versa. So it already is a global currency. As far as its use case and adoption, will that happen? I would say I don't know, and it's looking slimmer and slimmer by the day. Because look, the wolves are smart. This is the messed up part. Some of the sheep, listen, the sheep, some of them are nice, some of them are mean, assholes in between. But at the end of the day, most of them are just sheep. They don't know nothing else outside being sheep. And this is where it's messed up at. You get to some of these regulators, these politicians, these billionaires. Yeah, a lot of them are assholes, and some of them are wolves. Not necessarily saying if you have money, you're bad. I don't believe that. But yeah, some of these people are assholes and wolves and everything bad. But guess what? At least they moving the needle. They push, like, that's the messed up thing. Do you run with the wolves, or do you hang around these sheep who are going to let who are going to let the government tell them Bitcoin is not a global currency, right? Or do you run with the wolves where it's like, I mean, it's only 6 or 7 people using it, but hey, everybody who is making big plays with it, right? So I don't know. I'm convinced that the sheep will continue to be sheep and wolves will continue to be wolves. So with that being said, more than likely, gang's going to gang. Bitcoin will be a global currency for the wolves, for the bankers, for the billionaires, for the entrepreneurs, for the people who aren't scared and aren't sitting on the porch and listening to everything that someone who's not in a better position than them tell them. All those people, I think, will use it. I'm going to continue to use it as a global currency, right? It'll always be global to me. If someone has a big number on the, if I'm dealing with big numbers on the line, I'm not going through the banking system, period. Like, unless I have to. So as long as there are those people that exist, I think it's going to be global. But yes, for the sheep who say that, hey, the government says they're going to tax us 80% and we have to do it. And this is, and giggly diggly, the Ned Flanders of the world, gang on the gang, man. And it's always been like that. Look, listen, think about it this way. There were people who wanted pyramids built, and there were people who actually had to go build the pyramids. I can never imagine myself climbing up a fucking pyramid building, okay? Like, it just not, no generation, okay? Same with slavery. I'm sorry, people. There's certain things I just could not imagine doing. I would literally get, like, I would be the person dying from everybody or something. Like, so yes, no, the gang is going to gang as long as there's sheep. I hope that answers it. That's my long way of saying it. All right. Other than that, that is the show for today. Again, smash that like and share. And I will see you all Wednesday with some more.